trying many different things.
Yeah, for example, what was it?
So in the beginning, for example, we worked in literacy. So 1 in 5 adults worldwide doesn't know how to read. It's amazing. Over 15 years old, 1 in 5 is illiterate. And in some parts of the world, like West Africa, it's like 80, 90% of adults don't know how to read. So we found an organization that did an adult literacy program. And they came to us and they said, this is frustrating. The program is small. We want it to be big. We have all of these obstacles. So we said we would work together. And we said, well, what do you need? You know, what would you need to scale? And they thought about it and they said, money. we need more money. So yes, as a design firm, we could make a machine that made money, but we would all get in trouble, right? It's called counterfeiting, and it's illegal. So we couldn't help them by printing money. So we looked at what they were spending money on. It turns out their 2 biggest costs were books. So they were printing books here in Boston, shipping them to Mali, and then distributing them to all these rural communities. Very expensive, and the books didn't last long. It's the Sahara Desert. The books would fall apart. So books were very expensive. Lighting was also very expensive. So it turns out the adults could only take classes at night because they have children, they have jobs, you know, they have their own farms to take care of. And so there is no electricity in the community, so they're using kerosene lanterns. And one of the things they never tell you in the movies about kerosene lanterns is how bad they smell. So having a kerosene lantern in a small room, everybody starts getting dizzy. So you can only have 1 kerosene lantern or maybe 2 in a classroom before the smell gets really bad. It's not bright enough. So we thought about, well, could we find a less expensive way to do books and lighting? And we had the idea of, well, what if we projected the books? Instead of students having books, we'd have a projector and we'd project the material up on the wall. And that way, everybody could see the books. So it was great. It was a great success. We did it in a couple hundred communities in Mali, taught 10,000 people how to read. But then we got to the point where, oh, this is really exciting. You know, it's so successful. We said to the organization, like, good luck. You know, they said to us, good luck. And we're like, why are you saying good luck to us? They're like, because you're going to make them now. Like lots and lots of them. It's like, no, we design. We're not manufacturers. And they said, well, we're not manufacturers. And it's like, well, who is the manufacturer? We had never figured that out. And so there wasn't anybody to manufacture this product. We hadn't really thought about cost. I mean, we had tried to make them inexpensive, but we hadn't really thought through this whole process of who's going to make them, who's going to buy them, who's going to own them, and it went nowhere. So, I mean, it's great teaching 10,000 adults to learn how to read, but that's not 1 in 5. You know, that's not a billion. You know, we were sort of, a billion here is the need, and we had reached 10,000. So that was very frustrating. So other projects were along those lines, trying to figure out how to bring together all of these different pieces so that if we designed it, it actually went somewhere. Somebody made it in big volumes to reach lots of people. And so that, a lot of the lessons were around that. It's just version 1. It's like prototypes. The first prototype of Design That Matters was awful. Second prototype of Design That Matters, third prototype of Design That Matters, we're getting close. The current prototype of Design That Matters, oh, it's fantastic. I love it. You see a successful product and you assume that, oh, making a product is easy because you're not seeing all the ones that didn't succeed. It turns out that satisfying what people want, what can be manufactured, regulatory requirements. One of the things we say is with a medical device, you have to figure out who will choose, use, and pay the dues. So choose, select the equipment. Doctors never select the equipment, rarely select the equipment that they're using. Somebody else is making that choice for them. So we realized in the beginning, we would go talk to doctors and say, well, what do you want? And they would tell us and we would write everything down. But then we'd say, and how does it get to you? They say, oh, the government picks it and sends it to us. So if we make the doctor very happy, but the government's like, no, it's too expensive, it'll never happen. Like the government will never buy it for that doctor. Similarly, the government may be selecting the equipment, but they're using international funds. And so again, the government may say, I want the following pieces of equipment, but there's a funding source. Maybe it's the WHO or UNICEF or an aid agency who's actually paying for it. Again, they may also say, oh no, it's got to be this or this. So understanding, again, starting at the finish line, who are all of these different people? There's a kind of complicated phrase in English of something that is necessary but not sufficient. So imagine that there's the doctor, there's the government, there's the funder. They're all necessary. They all have to say yes, but none of them are sufficient, meaning if any one of them says no, it doesn't work. And so, yeah, you have to make them all happy. And it's that's what makes my job interesting, is because we have to balance all of these different groups. I started a long time ago as a Peace Corps volunteer making latrines for schools in West Africa and tried all these different things since then. Traditional Chinese medicine is a very, very old custom. And so for me to go and get somebody to stop doing traditional Chinese medicine is crazy. I mean, it's to think that we're going to make a color, like designers, right? We're going to make a shape or a color that makes them say, you know what? Forget traditional medicine. Now I want to do Western medicine. It's ridiculous. I don't understand. It's unlikely that design is the question. So we're all farmers in Africa, and we're very, very thirsty. And so traditionally, my father, my grandfather, your grandfather, they all drank from the river. When they got thirsty, they'd just go and take a drink from the river. And now our do-gooder friend arrives and says, oh, don't do that anymore. Here is this machine. You have to pour the water in the machine, wait an hour. Okay, now it's ready. Now you can have a drink. So it used to be my father, my grandfather, we were thirsty, we had a drink, and now I've got this guy saying, do this thing, wait some amount of time. Again, people reject, there are very few communities in the world that haven't seen latrines, water filtration systems, improved cook stoves, and yet many communities have rejected them, have refused to use them. I don't understand why. And it's unlikely that in a week, a month of research, I'm going to find the reason. Medical devices are interesting. In Vietnam, I'm not talking to doctors using traditional Chinese medicine. I'm talking to doctors who are already trained in Western medicine. So in a sense, they're already trying to apply Western medical practice, and they're finding that the tools are terrible because the tools are designed for an American or a Korean or a fancy hospital. And so they're really struggling. But their behavior change has already happened. They're already committed to the new behavior. They're just finding that the tools are terrible. So if we make better tools, we just get out of the way and they do it. Very, very different. So that's why right now, I think that medical devices are a great opportunity for this company because we're working with people who already want to make the change. It's much more difficult from a design perspective to make something that makes somebody want to change their behavior. And so I figure we solve all the easy problems first. So like, let's save all the sick newborns. And after we do that, then we could do some of these other harder problems. But I think that there's a lot of good that we can do just by focusing on helping people apply these, basically to make the behavior change that they've already chosen.